Hi, this is Lee Solden. This is the seventh in a series where I'm helping you learn Filipino, specifically helping you with an audiobook found on YouTube. Okay, I'll put the look in the comments, you'll see the link. Okay, also you'll see the links to all the previous 6 videos. And eventually, I got to make one more after this one. So it'd be a total of 8 of them. Okay, and all the links will be in the comments. Okay, so this can be on story 10 for this video. I'm going to cover a lot of stuff about verbs, pretty much everything I went over before, but I'm going to put it all in one lesson today. A correction from the end of my last video. I made the observation, finally, that Filipino does not use any I verbs where the base word starts with a vowel. So you don't have to worry about such rules. I found one supposed I verb, but it's conjugated exactly like an I and verb. Looks like an I and verb. I haven't found any I verbs, okay, that are based on a root word or a base word that starts with a vowel. So ignore that. What I said at the end of lesson 9. Okay. Okay, read this. Filipino simply does not make I verbs out of base words beginning with the vowel. I and verbs are both object-based, and Filipino always chooses IN to make an object-based verb if the base word begins with a vowel. More on this later in this lesson for story 10. Okay, story 10, ear tuning syllables. Okay. Anong gusto mong gawin niya? Gusto kong manood sa sinehan. Okay, gusto kong manood ng laro ng baseball sa TV. Gusto ko rin mag-uumpisa ang laro ng baseball ng una ng hapon. Okay, manood muna tayo ng pelikula para makanood ka ng laro pagkatapos mainam, tapos lumabas tayo para mamili mamayang gabi. Okay, sentence 1. Start out by reading the ear tuning syllables just for sentence 1. Anong gusto mong gawin niya? The speaker blends the ano with ang, and the speaker leaves off the second syllable of nayon. Okay, what? Ano. Ang. Subject marker. Pleases you. Gusto mong. To do. Gawin. Today. Ngayon. Although speaker just says nya here. Okay. And sentence 2. Oh, go over gawin here. Gawa equals, the base word gawa equals action. Okay, gawin is the infinitive form. The drop in the A and IN suffix, so this is an IN type verb, which means it is generally I and verbs are object based, okay? So he's asking, what are you doing today? But, okay, as well as the imperative form, so the infinitive is the imperative, okay? Also called the imperative, another name for command form, okay? So the IN gets added as an affix. An affix is what you call any of suffixes, prefixes, and infixes. Okay. Prefix goes at the beginning, infix, which goes in the middle of the word, and a suffix goes at the end of the word. Okay. Okay. Other forms. Verbs are always the same, regardless of who might be doing the action. They vary only by tense or mood. Imperative, the command form, is considered a mood rather than a tense. Okay. Go do that. It's a command. It's not. There's no time reference to it. Okay. So sometimes a particular form can act for multiple tenses, such as all the infinitives. In every case is also the command form in all four types of verbs. So that's pretty consistent. The only exception is the verbs where they don't have a separate past form. They use the infinitive for the past. The rest of them all have separate past, present, future, and infinitives. Okay. A lot of times, instead of referring to it as the infinitive, they refer to it as the command form, by the way. Okay, in all, there are 5 moods / tenses. Okay, the infinitive, the imperative, which are always the same. Verb form. Unstarted actions, which is called the future or anticipated. Completed actions, which is called the past, or and then they have also called it uncompleted actions. And then they have present tense, which is also for habitual actions. Okay. There are 4 types of verbs classified by the affixes used to form them from the base word. I and verbs, 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 and I verbs. Mag is often just ma. I believe there's also a mang. I've not seen a mang one yet. Okay, verbs are always actor focused. Verbs, somebody is doing the action and the focus in the sentence is on what that person is doing. I and verbs are usually object focuses, more focused on what is happening to the object. Mostly, though, no absolute rule on what the focus is for a particular verb. Mag, being active focused, is the closest to being a rule. I say mag or ma. Okay. Back to gawin. Okay, we'll cover the creation of tenses for I and verbs. Base word is gawa, action, infinitive and imperative. It's gawin. Drop the A and IN. If there were an O toward the end of the word, there's not in this case, but if there was an O, usually in the first or second, the last or second to last syllable, you would change that O to a U, then add the IN. Okay. the fact the A gets dropped here is not a rule as far as I know, but then again, I've not seen a case where the A did not get dropped. So maybe it may be a rule, or maybe a general trend at least. Present tense, uncompleted action. So it's an ongoing action that is not completed, or an action that is recurring, such as something the store opens every morning at 10 o'clock, or habitual, such as I brush my teeth every day. That's okay. They all use the present uncompleted form. Okay. Also called progressive form too. Okay. Okay. Ginagawa. What are the mechanics of forming this form? Start with gawa, the base word. Okay. Sometimes they'll call that the base verb if gawa was a verb. A lot of times gawa, the base word that you use to form a verb will be a noun, or it could be other things too. But if it's a verb, they might call that the base verb. However, most places call the base verb the verb you get formed when you add the affix, such as mag, or an in, or an I, or an infix. So once you add you take the base word, add the appropriate affix, now you got the base verb. That's what they usually call a base verb, is the infinitive, basically, okay? So anyway, from gagawa, excuse me, I skipped a sentence, okay? Okay, you start with gawa. You repeat the first consonant and the first vowel, giving that's G and A, so it's now gagawa. Could you say simple way to say it is you repeat the first the first syllable. So from gawa to gagawa. Okay. Now this is the present tense we're talking about. Okay. Now if it had started with a vowel, like if it, instead of gawa, what if it was awa? Then you say aawa. You just repeat the vowel, right? If there's only a vowel there. Okay, but this case is a ga, ga-wa, so ga-ga-wa. So now, then you put an in after the g. This is the in infix, giving you ginagawa. So from ga-ga-wa to ginagawa. Okay. If the base word had started with a vowel, the in would have been placed as a prefix instead of an infix. And if the base word had started with the letters Y, R, Y, excuse me, L, R, Y, or H a lot of times, then an NI prefix would be used instead. Okay? So instead of using the usual IN infix, it would go to an NI prefix in the cases where the base word started with those four letters, L, R, Y, or H. Okay. Past tense, completed action, ginawa. And by the way, I'll be going over this a lot. So if you something you're waiting to hear, is wait. I'll be going over this more thoroughly as we go through the lesson. Past tense, completed action, ginawa. Okay, just put the in infix after the G, ginawa. Okay, the in suffix goes away in this case. So remember, it was originally gawa, and it's going to end with wa. The A is now stays there. Okay, so we've gotten rid of the in suffix. We've taken that in and made it into an infix going after the G in gawa, ginawa. So this is the past tense. That's all you need to do. Just take the gawa add in the IN infix, ginawa. Okay. So again, the IN becomes a prefix if the word starts with a vowel. Okay. So instead of an infix, it would just be a prefix. But not the case here. And again, for base words starting with L, R, Y, or an H, a ni prefix is used. Okay. And just to foreshadow, the I verbs are basically going to use the same rules. The same 4 letters. We'll change it to a ni prefix. And the, okay. But what will never happen is the part about the IN becoming a prefix. It won't happen for an I verb because I verbs don't have any cases where the base word started with a vowel. Okay. So again, back on INs here, IN verbs here. In this case, simply add in the IN infix from gawa to ginawa. Okay. And future tense, also called the unstarted action or the anticipated action or contemplated action. Okay, gagawin. How do you get there? Well, it uses the future tense does use the in suffix, so the goes away, you get an in there at the end, gagawin. And for the future, you do double the front, so the ga goes to gagawin. Okay. Okay, analysis. With I and verbs, we see only 2 shared forms, the infinitive and command. And you'll find that's true for all verb types. Now, the following will not make sense to you yet, but read it anyway. I'm going to read it to you. Just kind of prepare your mind for something I'm going to say later. Okay. Okay, see the pattern for when you see the pattern for mag verbs, it'll make more sense. Okay, 2 forms where absolutely no action has occurred, the future and the command/infinitive, otherwise known as the base verb, are not alike for I and verbs. Okay, to be exact, for the future, the front gets doubled, but for the infinitive, it does not. But wait, they are alike in that. In both cases, they get an IN as the suffix. So maybe a memory trick for you, which I'm going to abandon, by the way. I'm going to tell you it anyway in case you want to use it. Okay, for the IN verbs, think of the IN suffix as in the future. Okay, I quit using that. Maybe you want to use it. As you'll see, I have a different logic these days. I feel works, so that's what I'm going to keep telling you over and over again. This what I'm currently using. Okay. So later I abandoned this memory trick and looked at things a different way, but I will leave this here in case it is useful to you. But do not be confused by my later shift in my memory trick. Okay? You probably will be, but no, I'll try not to be. You can ignore this. You think you might get confused? Ignore that little thing about what I just said. Okay. Sentence 2, pleases gusto me kong to see manood at sa. And again, sa is just indicating that a location is coming up, or something like a location. Could be the thing that the action is going toward, right? I mean, so think about, you can think of the location coming up. You see sa. You can interpret when you see sa, you can interpret it or translate it any way you want. I'm just using at here. Why not? Go see at movie. Okay. Sinihan movie. Okay. Okay. Manood. okay, is the infinitive form of to see. It is a my verb, works just like my verbs, just there's no G, okay? There's no difference. My verbs, there's no G. Okay, so base words node, watch. Again, here's a case where the base word is also, could be referred to as a base verb, although that would be confusing, so I wouldn't do that. Just consider it as a base word, okay? But what would you call it? To not confuse yourself, consider it is a verb, consider it an unconjugated verb. And yes, Filipino uses unconjugated verbs a good percentage of the time. I'm seeing a whole lot more conjugated verbs, but I'm kind of new at this, okay? So nood, watch, is the base word. Just add the prefix ma to get the infinitive form. Ma nood. Pretty simple, right? So, of course, you also just got the command form. Okay, the present tense is na, no, no, oh. That no gets repeated from you had no ode. Now you got no ode. So no got repeated for the present tense. Okay. Another thing that happened, it was ma went to na. So two things happened. The M changed to an N from ma to na, and you got a repeated syllable. No went to no. Okay, so now the present tense is na, no, ode. Okay, this time add the na as the prefix after doubling in the front. Okay. Past tense is na, no, ode. Okay, just add the na prefix, not the ma. This is a ma verb, but we're adding, instead of putting a ma there, putting a na. And I'll explain more about that later. No doubling. So no odes just stays no ode. Okay. Future tense. It's going to take doubling for the future tense. And future tense stays ma. Okay. So it's ma, no, ode. Ma, no, ode. So the rules are add the ma prefix after doubling in the front. Okay. Analyzing this verb, the two forms where action has started or even been finished, such as the past tense, are the present and past. Both use the na prefix. Starting to see a little signal there. The action started or even finished, okay? And the ma verb had its ma changed to a na. Think of this as a signal that the action started. 3 out of the 4 verb types have such a signal. One doesn't. I'll tell you right now, the verbs don't have that signal. But the other 3 verbs do. Okay. And every time I say that, I also mention that even the verbs have this other signal I'll talk about. Little memory trick. So the only thing the verbs lack is that signal that the action has started. And you will get more of that later. Right now, main thing I want you to know for just this moment is that for ma or mag, when the action started, completed, such as, past tense, it's not only started, it's done, okay? To show that the action has started, the we'll go to n, m to n, mag to nag, or ma to na. Okay. The two forms where no action has started, the imperative or command form, which is also the infinitive. And I hate to confuse you, but you look at a lot of these grammar texts. Sometimes you're going to call this the command form. Sometimes they'll call it the imperative form. Sometimes they'll call it the infinitive. But in any case, they're all three. Those are always the same thing in all verb types. Okay. So the two forms where no action has started, the imperative / command and future, both start with the ma suffix. Well, this is a ma verb. And where does it stay ma? Stays ma in the infinitive. Of course, you had to add ma to make a ma verb, right? So we know the infinitive has to have ma. And the other form that keeps that ma is the future. Now, memory trick. Hey, this is a ma verb, but once the action gets started, it changes to na. Okay. Where does doubling occur? It's the present and the future tenses. Memory trick. Present tense can often be used for future tense in English. This is a memory trick. It's about the English language. I am going to the store becomes a future tense when adding tomorrow, giving I am going to the store tomorrow. I added a future reference tomorrow, made it a future sentence, even though I'm using the present tense, right? But I made a future tense out of it. Okay. Use this association between the present and future tenses in English as a memory trick only, not as any guide to how Filipino verbs go. It's a memory trick. Okay, continue more memory tricks. Okay, continuing the memory trick. Future and present both use doubling, something kind of murky, harder to follow for an English speaker just learning Filipino. Why are they doubling this? Why are they doubling these letters? Right? Okay, it makes it more murky for me. Oh, terrible. Okay, what else is murky? Well, the future's kind of murky. You can't really see the murky that well unless you got your future glasses on. I don't personally have a pair of those, so the future's pretty murky, right? And so is the doubling of those letters. Well, where's the murkiness at? It's in the future. English uses what two tenses to make the future? Well, the future tense, of course, and the present tense with a future time reference. Okay, so present and future are going to have the doubling in Filipino. Go on here. Now, mag and ma verbs are easily the most common type of verbs in Filipino, and they are kind of easy to understand since they are actor focused. Answering the question, what is the person doing? The person is running or the person is talking. But it would be nice if these memory tricks worked for other verb types. Let's compare it to the I and verb type. Well, the answer is it does work for 3 of the 4 types, not the on this memory trick in particular. Excuse me. Okay, the doubling, that always works. That always works. What I'm about to go over is about the action started. As far as the action started, that little trick works for I verbs, I and verbs, and for mag/ma verbs. Does not work for verbs on whether the signal that the action is started. Okay, but on the doubling, the present and future are always where the doubling occurs in all 4 verb types. Okay. So, looking at the I and verbs. Okay, for both mag and I and verbs, the infinitive is also the imperative. And we'll see this is always true in all 4 types. Okay, both infinitives are formed fairly simply. Just add the affix to the base word. But vowels at the end of the word can change or drop when adding the in suffix. Ma or mag prefix does not have this issue. Okay. Neither of these types use an infix to form the infinitive, but you'll see that the I and verb does use an infix for another form, but not the infinitive. So for the I and verbs, you add a suffix, in. For the mag verbs, you add a prefix, mag. Okay. Okay, present tense for mag or ma verbs get the front end of the base word doubled. Then the affix is added. Okay. Now, na or nag prefix. Okay, yes, you have to remember it changes to an N for the first letter if the action has started or even finished, as in the past tense. Okay, the present tense for I and verbs, you also double at the front. Okay, and you add the affix. Well, in this case, the affix is an IN. And also you remove the IN suffix in the I and verbs. Okay, so the IN is an infix now, or could be a prefix if the base word starts with a vowel. Also, it could change to NI as a prefix if the base word starts with L, R, Y, or H. Okay. Anyway, so the memory trick time. Think of the IN verbs of having an IN suffixes, but when the action starts or even is already finished, such as in past tense, that IN suffix goes away and moves elsewhere. And the present tense is one of the murkier ones. I'm kind of mixing things up here. So what I'm trying to get you to understand in this sentence is that for the mag verbs, the signal that the action started is the mag changing to nag. But for the IN verbs, the signal is that IN infix getting added. Okay. By the way, the part about the IN suffix being removed, you'll find out that's not always the case, where instead of IN they use HIN. Okay, they do that sometimes, and other things. Those other things often don't get dropped in any of the forms, but still you always have that signal that the action started because the IN infix always goes there when the action starts. Okay. So okay, past tense for the mag and ma. Okay, just add the nag or na prefix. That's it for that. Just got to change the mag to a nag for the past tense. There's no doubling. It's not one of the murkier tenses. So you're done. Just use a nag. Remember, the action started and even finished for past tense. So you got to use nag. So, okay. Okay, for the IN verbs, you take that, again, you take that IN suffix that was the end of the word and make an infix. Okay. Or prefix based on the rules I mentioned previously. Okay. Let's see here. Past tense, there's no murkiness. Hey, you filmed that action in the past and have even analyzed it. So we're not going to think of if you get this thought, well, wait a second, isn't the dim past murky? No, you filmed it. No, anything in the past, you filmed it. It's sharp as can be. It's the future that's murky, right? You cannot have filmed that, right? So for our memory trick, remember that it's the murky future. And what two tenses does English use for the murky future? You know, the future tense, of course, and often the present tense by adding a future time reference. Okay, future tense. Mag and ma get doubling at the front, as does the IN verbs get that doubling at the front for the future tense. Mag or ma, stay mag or ma. No signal that the action started, right? Okay, so you got the murkiness and no action has started or even finished. Okay, so the things you use to identify these verb types do not change, especially when focusing on how you form the infinitives. Okay, I'm just trying to say that statement, they're similar things between the mag and the IN, okay? Okay, so you got to concentrate on like, okay, how do you form a mag verb? You got to add mag, okay? How do you form an IN verb? You put an IN suffix at the end, okay? Well, that mag changes to nag for past tense and present tense for the mag verbs. And the IN goes away and becomes an IN infix for the IN verbs. So keep your focus on how do you make the verb in the first place, okay? Okay, for this sentence, the ear-tuning syllables are gusto con mano od sa sine han. Okay. Sentence 3, pleases gusto me con to see mano od, object marker, nang, game, laro, of, nang, baseball, on, sa, TV. Okay, gusto kong manood ng laro ng baseball sa TV. Read those again. The ear-tuning syllables for this sentence. For sentence 3, okay, gusto kong manood ng laro ng baseball sa TV. 4. Sentence 4. Pleases gusto me kong also rin to shop mamili. Ear-tuning syllables. Gusto ko rin mali. Excuse me. Gusto ko rin mali. Not sure I said the ma twice the first time. Okay. So mamili has the base word bili. For some reason they changed that B to an M. Couldn't tell you why. Could be for sound matching. I don't know. Anyway, it's a ma verb. So from mamili, it's both the infinitive and the command form. It is a ma verb, so by definition, the infinitive is formed by adding ma. It is not one of the two tenses English uses for future actions, so no murkiness. So, by the way, I left one little thing out. Mamili means bought. It's a past tense. Okay, past tense we're talking about. Okay, so that's not one of the two tenses English uses for the future action. So, no murkiness, no doubling at the front. Okay, mamili. Okay, note the infinitive is used here as mamili comes after the verb gusto. Okay. And there is something not right about this. Okay. Okay, I said I did wrong. I just described the past tense. I should have been describing the past tense. Na mili. Got to change to na because the action has started. So it should be na mili. There's no doubling of the me syllable. So mili stays mili. But again, the ma goes to na mili. The infinitive is ma mili. The past tense is na mili. Okay. Okay, present tense. Ma verb. Present tense is one of the murky ones. Memory trick in English present tense is often used for those murky future actions by adding the future time reference. So I know I need to double the front of the word, adding some murkiness. Okay, it is a started action, so I know the ma has to change to na. So it's na mimili. From mili to na mimili. Checking it, sure enough, it's na mimili. Okay, present tense, also called the progressive tense, is for ongoing actions and actions done habitually or regularly. Okay, past tense. Okay, also a started action and completed. So it must be na. Okay, it's not murky, so no doubling. Na mili. Na mili. Checking, sure enough, it's na mili. Future tense, it's murky. Okay, I can't see it too well. It's kind of murky out there. And the future. Okay, not started. So stays ma, no signal that started. Ma, and the me gets doubled to mimi. So na mimili. Okay. And then sentence 5, we'll start. Mag u pisa. There's an in there, but that's because the word, the base word has a in it. It's not a verb. This is a mag verb. Mag pisa. Okay, subject marker. Ang, game, laro, of, nang, baseball, at, nang. We use nang to introduce a time reference. One, a la una. That's using Spanish as at the one. Okay, if you know Spanish. Okay, of, nang, afternoon, hapon. Again, the nang is used for introducing a time reference. Or you could just think of it as just of, in this case. That's better. I put down of here, of, nang, afternoon. Okay. Okay, infinitive and command. Mag pisa, which equals to start. The base word is pisa. Start is from the Spanish empezar. It's quite common. They take a Spanish verb. They may change some of the vowels a bit, and they'll drop the R. Okay, so think of it, their process. Well, it was empezar, so they went empezar to empezar, then changed it to pisa. Okay, okay. And without looking, present tense, murky, and started. So, nag pisa. Okay, the base word here starts with a vowel, pisa, so only the vowel gets doubled. Okay, nag pisa. Past tense, not murky, started, so nag pisa. Okay. Future tense, murky, not started, mag pizza. Get the doubling for the murkiness. The mag stays mag. Okay. Okay. So that all checks out. Looking over the answers from grammar books, there are alternative forms which I won't get into until we see them in this audiobook. And also note, don't get confused here as to what verb type this is from there being a in the word. This is a mag verb. Okay, 6, let's see. Let's see. So it's a command form, manood. Let's look, nood is the base word here. And a ma gives you the infinitive and command. So they're saying, let's see. Manood first, muno, we, tayo, object marker, nang, movie, pelicula, uses Spanish. Okay, manood muna tayo ng pelikula. Sentence 7. Order to, para, uses Spanish. Can see makanood, you, ka, object marker, ng, game, laro, after completion, pagkatapos. Pag can mean when, katapos is after. So pagkatapos again means after completion. Okay, other meanings of pag, once, if, whenever. The infinitive and imperative and command, that should be, I think I typed that wrong. That should be, I won't say the word. I think it's, sorry. Okay. 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 It's ma, ka, no, od. Okay. Not making mistakes. Okay. So ma, the infinitive end command form. To be able to see. Okay, get that little ka, extra syllable ka in there. Let's see here. Can't find a base word definition for ka no od, but no od equals watch, and ka is a common prefix showing some kind of relationship to the base word. Then you got another similar verb, ma kamili, means to shop around. So you can see the effect of adding the infix ka varies. Okay, in this particular case, it added the kind of able to the verb. Okay, to the verb to see. Okay, so they're going to get okay. Okay. Makanood yuka. So start over again. For, in order to, para, Spanish, can see, makanood yuka, object marker, non-game, laro, after completion, pakatapos. Other meanings of pag, once, if, whenever. Okay. Okay, the present, na, ka, no od. Okay, it started and you get doubling. Na, ka, no od. Past, na, ka, no od. Started, so yeah, you change na, but no doubling. Na, ka, no od. And the future, you need the doubling, but you don't change the ma, so it says ma, ka, no od. Okay, mainam, fine, mainam. Sentence 9, then, tapos, we go out, lumabas, we tile, for, para, to shop, mamili, tonight, which is the phrase mamayang gabi. Irritating syllables, tapos, lumabas tayo, para, mili, yang gabi. Okay, infinitive and command past forms lumabas, go out, base word labas. This is a UM verb, getting the UM infix, labas to lumabas. Present tense, lumalabas. Double in front, then add the UM infix, labas to lalabas to lumalabas. Past tense, already covered, as it is equal to the infinitive form for UM verbs. Again, lumabas. Future tense, lalabas. Just double at the front. There is no affix. Labas to lalabas. Hey, when you see doubling and no affix, assume it's the future tense of a UM verb. Okay? Now, okay, certainly for UM verbs, there are some differences from the IN and or ma verbs and I verbs. Past tense is the same as the infinitive, that's different. Same as the imperative of the command. The future tense drops the UM affix altogether. But we do see doubling for the murky future and present tenses, which are often used for the future in English. What is missing is any kind of switch indicating the action has started. Okay? Well, the past tense also being the infinitive, well, you really can't put any kind of marker in there for past. And for the present, the infix just stays there, just like in the infinitive. So there's no signal that action started. Okay. Now this story's had all the other various verb groups, but one, the I verbs. Might as well cover those to make this write-up for story 10 a more complete write-up on verbs. I, as well as I and verbs, are usually object focused. Can't think of as passive voice, kinda. While and mag, or ma verbs, are actor focused. Okay, I verb example, ibigai, to give, base word bigai, which also means to give. Infinitive and imperative is ibigai, to give. Just add the affix I as a prefix, bigai to ibigai. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, present tense is bini bigai. And see, double at the front. So from bigai, you got bibigai. Okay, and I messed up on that one. Okay, and I did not correct it. So I'm not going to say the present tense for that right now. What's supposed to happen is basically whatever I taught you about the I and verbs, it's the same for the I verbs. Okay. So the present tense will take the doubling. So from B guy to BB guy. And then the present tense is started, so you are going to put the in infix. You can put it after right after the b, bean, and then the rest of it. I'm not trying to pronounce it right now because I don't have it written down in front of me. Okay, future tense is EBB guy. You double the front, add the I prefix. So B guy to BB guy to EBB guy. And usually that I there is optional, whether you add it there or not. Past tense, beanie guy. You add the in infix, so you come from be guy to beanie guy, and then add the I prefix, which again is optional. A summary of I verbs, very similar pattern to mag or ma and I and verbs. Again, the verbs are the odd man out. Doubling occurs in the two murky tenses, future and present. And there is a definite indicator that the action has started in the past and present tenses. Okay, the in infix is added. Okay. The in infix is added just as for the in verbs. And just like the I and verbs, that goes to NI, going before base words if the base word starts with Y, R, L, or often H. What is different about the two verb types is this. Filipino never uses base words that begin with a vowel to form an I verb. So no rule needed for when a base word begins with a vowel. Doesn't happen, okay? Now remember that for I and verbs, the IN becomes a prefix instead of an infix in this case. verbs are the odd man out, no indicator that an action has started, but verbs do have that doubling for the murky tenses, the two that English use for showing future actions, future and present, with a future tense reference in the sentence. Now, while this is not a complete explanation of how all the verbs go, here's a guide to help you understand the basics of the 4 types of verbs. You say 5 types, you want to consider ma and mag separate, but no, I say 4. Okay. First, the doubling, almost always of the first consonant and first vowel. And only the first vowel if the base word starts with a vowel. Occurs across all 4 types, always for the same 2 tenses, future and present. Okay, as for signaling an action has started, only the verbs have no signal. Indeed, the past tense, where the action is not just started but also completed, is the same as the infinitive and imperative. Okay, the action started signal for the past and present tense, called the uncompleted action, is as follows for the other three types. Ma and mag change the prefix to na and nag, respectively. In drops the in suffix and adds the in infix. Okay, and plus you got the rules about when does it go to a prefix if the base word starts with a vowel, and when does it go to an ni prefix. That's when the base word starts with the r, y, l, or often h. Okay, I verbs add the in infix, which go after the first consonant, just like for the in verbs. All the same rules, except that no I verb ever has a base word that begins with a vowel, so you ignore that a little bit. What are you ignoring? The part about the becoming a in prefix? That'll never happen for an I verb. Okay. So in all four types, the imperative and infinitive are the same. The in verbs are unique in that they are the only ones where a suffix is added, and adding that suffix can force a change to the vowel at the end of the base word. O to a U is the most typical, and we've also seen A's getting dropped. Okay, only the UM type has the same form for the past as for the infinitive / imperative / command. Okay, the other three types all have separate past, present, and future forms. Okay, that's it for now, but I will hint at some stuff coming up. Irregular verbs, spelling rules for when base words start with a certain letter, optional spellings, and 2 other forms which some verbs have. Have a good day. It's Lee Solden. If you like this video, hey, hit the like button, share, comment, and tell people about this, please, and subscribe to my channel. Everybody have a great day. Bye-bye.